imagine that I'm holding a cup. Glass, plastic, styrofoam. It can be any type that you want. And this cup is filled up to the halfway mark. Now tell me, how would you describe it? Is it half full? Or is it half empty? Or as some people would like to say, are you an optimist or are you a pessimist? But let's backtrack for a moment. Before we even move on to how we should describe the cup, why aren't we asking what's inside of it? Water? Arsenic? The expired milk that you left at the back of the fridge? Why is it that we always talk about the quantity of the cup? How much is in the cup, as opposed to its contents? If this cup was filled with soda, no one would even care that I'd be drinking out of it. But if it was poison, that's a whole different story. And as I'm dying, gasping for air from the poisoning, I'd be regretting my whole decision to even pick up this cup in the first place. And like life, we can't predict everything. So from this inability to guess the future, we humans constantly try to do one thing. We tell ourselves to be positive. We advise others to be positive. We practically force society and ourselves to be positive because apparently positivity is the only way to be emotionally stronger. And that is the flaw that we fail to understand. Because in a world that's so obsessed with optimism, we don't realize the disadvantages that can arise from our positive attitudes. Negativity, like its opposite, isn't just some perspective of the world, but it's a way to be mentally stronger and gain courage. And being brave doesn't just mean being mentally stronger, but it means being able to understand yourself and who you are. Because sometimes it can be stress, anxiety, anger, and sadness that helps you push yourself to take the risk and helps you reach the fullest potentials that you can reach. This is why it's so important that we understand these two very different ways of thinking and that we accept both of them by our side. Now, firstly, from the very beginning of our lives, we're told to avoid bad emotions like stress and anxiety because anything that isn't happiness is to be perceived badly. Even in children movies like Inside Out, where the moral of the story was that it's okay to be sad at times and to accept all of our emotions, but do you remember how each emotion was portrayed? Joy, skinny figure, and a glowing aura. And sadness, grumpy and fat. Which do you think kids love more? And although the moral of the story was meaningful, impactful, inspiring, motivating, and all those adjectives, the portrayal of each character left an ambiguous message for the audience, leaving them wondering how they should feel about each emotion as opposed to why they should be accepting each emotion. Additionally, when we say think positively, it just doesn't work that way. Thinking positively isn't the equivalent of actually being happy. When you say think positively, everything's gonna be fine, don't worry about it, it'll all turn out great, it just doesn't work that way. Instead, we're setting expectations for ourselves that we can't fulfill. Because when the cruelties of life hit us, we're bound to feel more guilty, more culpable that we can't feel as happy as we think we should be. In a 2002 study by NYU psychology professor Gabriel Owington, a study was done on college undergrad students. A group of college undergrad students was split into two groups. The first group was told that their upcoming week would turn out amazing. Great parties, great grades, and similar things, so on. And then the second group was told to write down any thoughts that they had, bad or good. The next week, when students came in to interview again, the first group, full of confidence at the beginning of the week, reported that they felt less energized, less confident, because they couldn't accomplish as much as they thought they could. Blind optimism isn't as motivating as it seems, and studies have even shown that when we fantasize about our wishes without seeing the obstacles, our blood pressure lowers, making us feel less motivated, less energized, less confident. We overvalue the power of our thoughts, thinking that they are responsible for our accomplishments, and that when we say think positively, it means you have to be happier, no matter what. We end up blaming ourselves for things that we can't accomplish, when we can't be happy, just because we think that our thoughts are responsible for how we control our emotions, and that we can even instruct them. When it's already guaranteed in life, things aren't always going to go your way. Last year, in my English class, when my grades took a turn, my life completely crashed down. This was supposed to be the class that I was excelling in. I was supposed to have exceptional writing skills, considering that I wanted to pursue a career in something that required writing every day. So when these grades came, my life crashed down. I was disappointed that I couldn't accomplish what I thought I could because of my expectations that I had set myself based on my positivity. I was so dejected that I felt like I couldn't even apply to my dream university anymore. Sure, positivity can boost your confidence all the way to the top at once immediately. But it takes just as little time as it does to get up here, to get all the way down here. Instead, it's better to slowly build your confidence, learning from the mistakes that you made, preparing yourself to not make similar mistakes, slowly building that confidence one step at a time. And lastly, our emotions teach us our values. We only get angry over things that we care about. We only get sad over things we care about. It's from these negative emotions that we learn about who we are and what we care about. Because it's when we push away these negative emotions, we're choosing not to learn about ourselves, to not learn about what we value, what we care about, what we find important. So, I'm going to return to that imaginary cup, and I promise you, this is going to be the last time that I mention it. How do you see it now? Is it half full? Or is it half empty? Or does it even matter about how the cup is? Because that's just the way the cup is, no matter how much is in it or what is in it. And when it comes to our emotions, it's not about what makes us us. It's that we need to accept the cup the way it is. Like we need to accept ourselves and how we see the world. No matter the contents, no matter how optimistic, no matter how pessimistic. Thank you.